Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining this webinar. Carve and DHL on stage today. We have more people joining this webinar every few seconds now. So we're giving this a few more minutes and then we're going to start. So grab your water, grab your coffee and be prepared. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right. There we are. Hello, Barnes. Hello, Lonica.
Hi.
Thank you for joining. So welcome, everybody. We have a large group of attendees here, and I see in the chat people joining from Prague to New York to Dallas to India, Poland, Utrecht, Amsterdam, Germany, all the way. So we are super excited to get this going today. We're going to zoom in today on our collaboration with DHL. We're going to just start, Barend. I think that's the best. We want to try to keep this interactive. So we have a storyline. We tell you about what we think is the future of agentic AI in volume hiring, zooming in on the DHL case. Of course, Lonneke also shining her light on this case that we are doing together, but also leaving the floor here for the attendees to ask questions and to interact with us. So feel free to drop any questions in the chat during the webinar, and we try to answer most of them. It depends a bit on how many there will be, but we also try to moderate a bit. So, Barend, shall we just go?
Yeah, let's kick it off. Let me share. There we go.
There we go. All right. So, logistic recruitment meets AI inside DHL agentic setup. Lonneke, we're going to give you the word in a bit to talk more about DHL, but let's just quick off, Barend, with a quick intro here on what we're going to do today. So we're going to look at what is the current state of recruitment processes and AI, specifically in logistics recruitment. What are the challenges in that industry that companies are facing? Then we look at how is AI going to solve those challenges, and specifically, what type of platform and technologies did we build and did we implement with DHL to transform this process into I would say, AI first process versus a human first process. And we will zoom in on the case and do Q&A after. But first, let's talk about who we are. Well, my name is Matthijs, one of the founders of Carve. Together with Barend, built Harvard.com before this company. Also, high volume hiring technology, one of the market leaders in that space. Barend, want to add a little bit to that?
That was a great journey where we supported a lot of company in their digital transformation, but it feels like ages ago because now we're in the stage of intelligence transformation, and it's exciting to be building again.
Exactly. Lonneke, quick intro on you.
My name is Lonneke Schagen, and I'm head of talent acquisition and employer branding at DHL Express. Now for more than 3 years and more than 25 years of experience in recruitment and employer branding.
Yeah, great. And we're working together for a couple of years. And I think, Barend, if we go to the... sorry, Barend? You want to say something?
No, all good. You're on a flow, man. Continue.
In the flow. No, so I think a little bit on Carve and the promise of Carve. We believe the future of recruitment is human. However, we envision a world where humans also do work with humans. All the high volume, low impact activities will be taken over by software so that the humans can focus on the humans. And today we're going to zoom in on what the before state and the after state is of those processes. Carve was founded in 2023. We launched our AI for recruiters in 2024, and we built this out. Currently, we're rapidly expanding globally with customers all over the world. Well, not that important for now, but definitely a capability that's being built on this specific volume hiring and AI domain. And that's also where we're going to zoom in on, Barend, right?
Absolutely.
So, no, go ahead, Barend.
No, I think a list of customers where we work for. I think it's pretty clear that our specialty is in the domain of volume. When you hire not hundreds but thousands of people, and well, we will zoom into logistics, which is a different beast in itself.
Yeah. Lonneke, maybe you can give a little bit of context on DHL itself.
I can, but I think everybody knows DHL. We are I'm working at DHL Express in the Netherlands, and we are part of the DHL Group. DHL Group is one of the most large employers of the world, with more than 600,000 employees. For Express, it's about 120,000 people are working with us in the world. What we do is at Express about 1 million shipments every day worldwide, and everything comes and goes by plane. So we connect the world, and we are able transfer shipments within 48 hours to the all places of the world. I think we're very proud to be number 1 best workplace in Europe, number 2 in the world, and number 3 in the Netherlands. So it's a 1, 2, 3 list. And we are active in 220 countries and territories with DHL Express. So.
Yeah. Wow, and it comes with some challenges, some challenges all across, of course, but also in the recruiting team, different roles, different capabilities, and also like so many different type of recruitment challenges all in one team and one company. And maybe before we're going to zoom in on that, Lonneke, in our case together, Barend, we can also zoom in a bit on, if we look at this logistics recruitment, where we are at, what are these challenges that we see across industries?
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because just casually, Lonneke mentions the number 600,000 employees. And I think if you're not in recruitment, then recruitment feels like it's one domain, right? It's one thing. Recruitment is just recruitment. But if you have 600,000 people working for you, things changed. And that's what we want to talk about today. What's different? So there are a lot of things that are different when you look at talent acquisition and logistics, and we want to highlight a few because I think they come back in the solution that we later present. So from left to right, the first 2 are about the volume. I think in logistics we have peak seasons you don't see them in many industries. So on a daily, weekly, or monthly or peak basis, you need far more or less people. And finding the people is crucial. In some parts of the recruitment, you can say, hey, if I don't find the employee, I just wait a week and a week later I will find them. In logistics, it's impossible. So speed matters most. A late hire is worse than maybe somebody that's suboptimal. And then we do that in an environment that is often global. We already saw that we have people joining from all over the world today because many of these logistics organizations are operating nationwide or globally. And that means that you hire in different locations and it's a completely decentralized organization. And also the laws and regulations can change. So it's not one way of operating. You have to manage multiple ways of operating within one organizations. And then there is candidate behavior. Candidates, it's often people that are looking for a paycheck. If you look at the operational part of the operational part of the organization, where the volume is high, attrition is high, no-show is often an issue. And if you find candidates and they are hired, they can also disappear without any notice. So it's a special group of people that you're working for. So if you look at these 3 domains, the market is different, the way of operating in a localized way is different, and the candidate behavior can be extremely specific. That makes logistics a different department or a different world within recruitment.
How do you look at that, Lonneke? Is that something you recognize?
Yeah, absolutely. I think speed in the process is very important. And people like to apply whenever they want. So in the middle of the night, in the weekends, and recruits only working the working hours. So that was a problem before the AI. That people want speed in the process. They need answers very smoothly and very fast, and it was some difficulty because we only had to work the working hours. And we had a high number of applicants as well. So a lot of people think, oh, it's nice to work there. I do not know exactly what it means, but I think it's interesting. So let's apply. And they didn't know exactly what they could expect. But we had a high number of applicants, and you want to give everybody the attention they need. And also we want to give the attention to them. Yeah. That was something that was sometimes a bit difficult.
Exactly, the candidate experience. So how can you manage such a large group of candidates but maintain the right experience? And this goes beyond just a simple screening and scheduling flow. It goes beyond that. And I think we touched upon this earlier, but also we zoom in on later. It's so hard to build a predictable and reliable recruitment team, recruitment engine for these roles because of the volatility of the hiring around Christmas versus the third week of January. Like we're talking about a span of like 5-6 weeks, and demand will be so different. So you need your, I would say, digital army to help you with that.
Yeah, it is.
So let's zoom in on that, Barend. We go one step further, because I think before we go in on the solution, the problems we saw and how we solved that for DHL, I think we need to talk a little bit about what is the state of the current technology. And here, Barend, I think we spent so much time on this. Maybe you can shed some light on it.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the last, me personally, for the last 30 years, I've been working in technology, building software, building digital experiences where it was always the system, the computer that defined a process, and we humans, we just had to obey. And I think if you look at a lot of recruitment process, that's still the reality. You enter a process, and then the software decides what fields do you need to fill in, what's the next step. You can't interact with it, you can't ask questions. It's all about the system and the process that defines your experience as a candidate. And if you look at the state of technology right now, we are really in a paradigm shift where that reality is finally over. And we call this the intelligence transformation, the next step, where you're not talking or you're not working in a system, you're not applying in a system, but you're applying with a system. You're working together, and it's not only about what the employer wants and the process that's defined by the employer, but actually it's tailored also around the needs of the employee, around the needs of the applicant. Matthijs, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this visual, because I think it shows the transition.
It's very simple. We have many companies in this process, and I think if there are a few scenarios here, or you are running a manual process with people and you automated maybe screening and scheduling. You have a pretty rigid flow. People apply, they have a chat, and they schedule. That's it. I think in that world, that's what we call the digital transformation. We already made our static workflows digital. I think, Barend, when we started Harvard, this was all new. Everyone did this with manual actions. If you're still doing that, well, definitely a reason to move. However, what is now the difference between the possibilities of the workflows that we already were able to build versus the AI-driven workflows? And that is what we call intelligent. Left side, you see a linear process from posting jobs to a hire, but in the AI reality, you see it's not linear anymore. We give AI, basically every task in your recruitment process, from scheduling to like maybe placing them to another job, or handling silver medalists, reaching out to candidates from the past when you open a vacancy. It are all agents, tasks within your, I would say almost recruitment hub, the intelligent hub. And all these tasks will be executed when it is the need of the applicant. So imagine an applicant applies on a vacancy, but in a normal decision tree process, if it would ask, okay, I need these 5 screening questions from you. But if the candidate would ask, okay, but I want to know more about DHL before I apply, the flow breaks. Now, the job information agent will jump in and will just give you the information. Maybe you apply for role X, we see you fail. Usually you get another status in the ATS, and then you're going to reach out again as a recruiter, all human process. Now, when you do not succeed or apply for that specific role, the routing agent comes in and offers you an alternative job. It all happens in one experience. In Lonneke's case, if an applicant wouldn't fit for location X, okay, why don't we see if we can bring it to location Y? These are all new ways of non-linear processes where the applicant is really at the center of what happens instead of the workflow of the company. And this increases speed significantly, but mostly the candidate experience. You can really now build with AI experiences that are for the candidate and dramatically improving your core KPIs as a recruiter. We will zoom in on that later. That's the difference between digital and intelligence. Digital is I have a workflow with linear steps, and a candidate go on my fast lane and good luck. And intelligent is we drop you in a reality of DHL and we serve you in a way that's the best for you. And that's a complete new world. This was never possible, Barend, I think 2 years ago.
Absolutely. And this is when technology becomes human again. when it's really human-centric. And I remember when we started with Lonneke, she is really, the candidate experience is so important. And if we would live in an ideal world, then maybe DHL would hire 10,000 recruiters to give a one-on-one full human experience to applicants. The reality is that that is not possible. Finally, there is an alternative of something that gets to the same level of experience without the need of building a huge team of human recruiters.
Exactly. Maybe Barend, you can zoom in a bit on because we just talked about DHL, the issues, and we will talk about the potential. We will show this after this, but let's first zoom in on, we have ATSs, right? We have screening tools. We have like chatbots that can do things for you, but those will not be sufficient for you as a company to build these real intelligence flows. It requires a complete new setup. And Barend, maybe you can talk about
exactly.
what it requires.
Yes, and so it's a bit abstract, but then we will show how it literally works.
Yeah.
We implemented so many systems, so much technology in recruitment processes, and until now, it was human recruiters that managed those platforms. So human recruiters were working in your ATS, were doing the interviews, were reaching out to applicants. And what we shouldn't do is add another part of technology next to what you already have. Now, what we want to do is create agents, intelligence agents that take over the tasks from humans, but operate in the same systems. So not everything changes, but you get a new team, a new army of, in this case, AI recruiters that help in the execution. And if you would like to visualize this from a conceptual perspective, then we have in the orange box, the Agentic platform. That's the intelligence. And you see all these little boxes. So the host, the screening, admin, scheduling. These are all agents that are specified or that are trained in one specific task, but they can work together. And we will show you later how these agents hand over tasks with each other and to each other. So they operate almost like humans. And those agents have tools. They are integrated with a lot of communication tools. So these agents can call with your applicants. They can text message with your applicants. They can WhatsApp with your applicants. But they also can interact with recruiters. And they don't replace an ATS. No, they are integrated with the ATS or CRM systems, and they work with those tools. So normally if you have a human recruiter executing a task, reaching out to an applicant, see if the applicant is available, the human recruiter updates the ATS. In the new setup, the process is exactly the same, but it was AI that did the reach out and AI that updates the ATS. So it's just an extension to a human recruitment team. Well, and then the question is, how do you manage this all? Because with human recruiters, you have maybe your Monday morning kickoff and you have your weeklies and your one-on-one meetings. Well, that's not necessary with your AI recruiters. For that, we build an orchestration engine. Yes. That's the machine that controls it all. And we will show you what that means.
Yeah, this is a little bit of the back end of Carve, so it might be a little dry, but a lot of people asked us these questions in the previous webinars. We understand the agents, but how do they work in recruiting? So we want to give some context there, because in a lot of large enterprises, like DHL, things can change. Lonneke can come to us to say, hey, we have a Christmas hiring initiative. We need to do this, this, and this. And normally I have this whole agentic setup for screening and maybe extra questions. But now I just want people I want everybody in, but maybe if the flow is there. Or maybe the labor market flips and there's a lot of scarcity or a lot of volume. You need to be able to always be flexible. And this is the Carve platform. In our orchestration, how we call it, our cockpit, we can just, for each customer, design what is your specific set of agents that you need for your specific requirements, from hosting to talent pool rediscovery. Hey, we already have people maybe from the past that we want to reach out to. If a vacancy opens, we have this whole army of agents that you see on the left that we just can activate and fully train on your specific recruitment use cases. All these agents have specific tools. We can give them access to your knowledge base, to your website, to communication channels that you have. We can give them instructions. When do you stop? When do you continue? We basically onboard this little extra employee in your recruitment team The difference is that onboarding is done in a few minutes and it's going 24/7 and it doesn't ask for more salary. So that's a little side note. But in this way, we can compile for each company and for each recruitment reality really quickly and also be very flexible. Because Lonneke, I think in your reality, that's also really important.
It is. And it's important that we can scale up very easily and moving people further in the process after they apply. So we had applications when people start and have more questions or fitting better on a different job or continue with another flow. Everything is possible and you can switch very easily. And the fastest hiring was, and they walked through all the steps. It was within 2 hours. So that's very smooth.
That is super smooth. Like that's also our promise. You know, people sometimes think, oh, it takes more time to go into conversation with AI. But if the steps go quick and in one go, people have job certainty almost on the fly. And that is how you also win talent, because usually they apply at multiple roles when they apply a specific function. Exactly. So, well, let's zoom in on the case. You just mentioned being hired in 2 hours. So we looked with you, what is this ideal setup with agents in the beginning? And this can all be flexible because we can change it all the time, like connected to your needs.
Yeah.
But let's look at an example video how we did this for you. And important here is we also looked at the silver medalist piece, like if people are not being hired now, but maybe they are suitable for later, AI can actually look back and reach out to those people again, which is a setup that more companies use, especially when there is an inflow and an outflow of applicants over time. So Bar, maybe we can run the movie with the and here we're going to look at your setup, Lonneke, for the audience.
Yeah.
I think it's a little blurry. Yeah, there we go. So here we have the multiple agent setup, screening, hosting, routing. Only location preferences is already a big thing, huh? Some people just drop out because they apply for a specific location and they could work in a different location if you help them with it. So the agent is also intelligent enough to do that. Reschedule is really important. A lot of jobs are putting a lot of jobs out there. Exactly. So this is one flow, but of course these flows are flexible. So you can just make sure, even on a regional level, sometimes in the US, even on a local level, because sometimes you have local laws that are different, and you want to have a different agentic setup in California than in New York. So you can be very flexible here to just design this flow as you want. Yeah, Lonneke, I think it's time to have a discussion with you on how do you experience this? What is a huge difference for you and your team after working in this new setup?
I think for us it was the most important that we can start quickly with the application, no time waste for the applicants, but also that the applicant can ask all the questions they have in the process. So the AI agent has to be like a human, and that's what we solved. I think I'm very proud of that. The AI agent is like a human. And the process starts immediately after the application. An application is very easily only your name, telephone number, an email address, and then it starts. And the agent helps you through the whole process. So from start to the application till the last day of your first month. It continues in our process also during your first month.
Yeah.
And the agent will ask you, hey, how is your first day? How was your first day after 2 weeks again? How is it with you? Are you still happy? And it's very important information for us. But also, next to the agent, the human touch points are very important. So the recruiter has more time for all the information to talk with the candidates about DHL Express, about the job, about the emotions, everything, about the ambitions. So it's next to each other, and it's a smooth, fast process. And I think that's the most important thing. And the candidates more in control as well. So if they have our process is you start with AI, with the agent, and it's asking you some questions, not knockout questions, but selection questions. For example, you need your driving license for more than 2 years to be able to drive an electric vehicle at DHL Express. So if you have your driving license but only for 1 year, there are possibilities for you, but not as a driver to start with, but maybe for a bike courier or something. So we can switch between jobs as well. After that you go, but there is also game-based assessment is in it. So the agent will transfer you to the game-based assessments as well and give you information about that. Afterwards, you can come back to the agent and you schedule your meeting with recruiter. But if you have questions during the process, you can always come back to the agent and ask you all your questions, and the agent will answer that on the right way.
Yeah, I think that's also, I think 2 things that you said stood out to me. One is that the agent should really communicate like a human. We put so much effort as Carve into that process, because I'm getting so annoyed by bots and mostly chat bots that really feel like AI. We're still applying at a company. You really want to have this very human experience.
Yeah, and I hate to come into a loop when normal chatbots, you come into a loop or something and you cannot come out of it. And I think
Yeah, exactly. And
you need the answers.
And the second thing is that we are used to silo pre-screening, scheduling, assessing, and then onboarding and on-the-job communication. But now we have this one, I call it like one communication channel with the applicant and later the employee, and they can always keep communicating on one channel. And we on the back end fix everything. How do we write it back to the ATS? But for the candidate, it feels just like one experience on your first day of a job does not differ from even your first application. And that's pretty unique. That's how it should be. That to me is real candidate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we're finally in a spot where this is possible.
Yeah.
We're almost amazed, like, wow, it's 2-way communication. Well, of course it is. That should be the standard.
It is. And also the candidate experience is high. So the application process for the candidates, they think it's very good and very smooth, very fast. Yeah. And very trustful.
Can you also show, it's a question from Dalila, did you see any improvement in the no-show rates because with the volume?
Oh, yes, absolutely. The former process was, so you did your application also without a resume, this only with your name, telephone number, and email address. But then you came into the ATS, like a kind of black box with a lot of names, numbers, and the recruiter starts on Monday morning with number 1, the first applicant, and if you were not available right then, we lost you. It was kind of a black box. And now you finished a lot of your process already before you plan your own meeting with the recruiter. So we lost a lot of dropouts.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, and this is something we see across the board. There is a direct correlation between no-show and time. So people are looking for a paycheck, and they're applying often multiple jobs at the same time. And with AI, that's getting worse, because we have a lot of AI tools that help you to apply. So time is crucial. And the second thing is relationship. Do I, as an applicant, feel that I have already a relationship with this organization so that I'm willing to wait a day, or in some cases only a few hours, until the interview or the next step of the process? And if those two things are in order, we always see a tremendous drop in drop-off.
Yeah, and also just the communication itself, right? So the fact that we know, okay, we're gonna actively communicate with the applicant before the interview has taken place, to remind them just to make sure that there is communication around, before and after the interview. That's a really important moment to actually decrease the amount of no-shows, increase the amount of no-shows, increase the number, I would say, of people that will show up. So, but this is one of the KPIs. I think it's nice that you can use different agents to solve for different KPIs. For example, the 30-day attrition rate can be improved by staying in touch with your people in the first 30 days, more than just, if you are, for example, a driver, you don't have a manager that's on your, that's always on
next to you. No.
We need to find different ways to be with you, and it's difficult with all those employees, and so many deliveries. So it's just one example. Yeah, Lonneke, go ahead.
I also think people do not read their email quite good at the moment. It's difficult, especially in the Netherlands. Gen Z isn't reading their email, but you need your contracts in your email, some things what you have to fill in before you can start working. And also the agent is helping you to remind you, hey, there is an email for you waiting. Go to your email and sign the contract, or fill in a form that we need you before that you can start working. And also the day before you start, a nice message from the agent, hey, good luck tomorrow, and we're looking forward to meet you finally.
It's so simple, but it works.
It works. Attention is so important in the process.
Barend, can we share the slides again?
Absolutely.
Let's also maybe zoom in on a little bit of the numbers. Lonneke, can you share a little bit about this?
Yeah, I think we saved a lot of time in the process because of the recruiter was calling applicants who doesn't appear anymore, or we couldn't reach them anymore. So I think the time saving for an hiring for a recruiter was more than 26 hours, but also the turnover, so the quality of hire was much more higher with using this smooth process and with the agents. It's about the turnover rate was reduced with 30% for the operational jobs. And the speed of hire. What's another important KPI? Our KPI is within 5 working days. We want to, from the beginning till hiring. But the fastest was, I already told you, 2 hours. So time to hire, quality of hire, and also the time savings was enormous.
Yeah, that's so nice, Lonneke. Thank you for sharing that. And we have many questions from the crowd. So maybe we should focus a bit on that before we focus on the Q&A. I want to share this. if you are currently not having an agentic process, just a static workflow, traditional chatbot and scheduling solutions, feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to do a session with you where we deep dive on your process and give you a full free solution design on what it actually could be, just to zoom in on what impact can we make for you. Let's Baron zoom in on the questions with that the audience asked to us and to Lonneke. Because we've got something, so we can dive into that.
Yeah, shall we go?
Yeah, Andrew first. Per country.
Yes, let me scroll up. Can you customize per country if we hire across? Yes, of course. That's one of the core capabilities of the platform. Within Europe, obviously, you have the AI Act in general, compliance-wise, but in Germany, for example, there are additional rules. So yes, you can. And you can also manage part of that in the ATS. So often in the ATS, there are compliance rules and processes defined. And the AI, because we have this deep integration, can look literally into those rules and compliance processes and follow them. Languages was another question. Yes, it's in 99 languages. So also to the point of Natalia, is it possible in Polish? I think the correct word is tak. Yes, it is also in Polish.
Thank you. And the locations that get priority is also interesting. We can load balance between locations, but you can also know based on historic volume, you already know pretty well where the issues are. So we have actually quite extensive experience of multi-location hiring. And then this is even like a few locations versus like 1,000 locations for grocery stores. You already know in many cases what the prediction is per location, so you can help the applicant to steer towards a specific location, but you can also, of course, close vacancies and look up new roles. So that's both possible, but usually historic talent pool volume is pretty predictable. I like this question of Dalila, Lonneke, for how did your recruiters experience the arrival of Carve?
First, there were some skeptic about it. Will it replace my job? And a little bit scared, I think. But when they noticed that it was helping them a lot and also reduce the manual work and the admin tasks, what was not the most fun part of their work. So it's they are a huge fan of it, and we are looking. Every day we're looking, okay, can we maybe put an agent on that part, or is it a human part? Where is the human the most important and the most the most important, where we have to put the human in the process, and we are looking and evaluate that all the time. But now they are very happy with it because They have limited admin task, and more time for the human interaction with the candidates and with the business, the hiring manager, etc.
I think that we see this all across the board, Lonneke. The resistance in the beginning is always there, but it is like the resistance of when we had the mobile phone and we all said like, no, we're not going to use it, or maybe for some calls when I'm out of the house. But in the end, it turned out to be a little bit different. It's just the resistance to change. And we still see some recruiter groups being resistant, but especially in volume, the benefits are so obvious that you almost cannot be against it. And that's also what we think with Carve. And Lonneke, we had the same. We can almost, after a week or 2 weeks of running this process, you have significant numbers and improvements. So how can you be against it? But we always, with Carve, would like to include the group before you start and show them this is our plan. That's why we do spend a lot of time in solution designing. What are the journeys? What is the before state? What is the after state? Also, what I invite people on this webinar to do with us, not making the decision immediately, but just explore what could it do for us. I think, Lonneke, your team in the end also embraced it really well.
Yeah, it is.
In your process, Lonneke, where is the human recruiter involved in the process? Which step?
After the assessment, so you start with the selection questions, and some situational judgment. Then we switched over to game-based assessments, and then the agent's coming back to you, and you can make the appointment with the recruiter. And then we have different fit scores after the 2 steps. So you have a high fit, low fit, medium fit, and the recruiter is speaking all the people, but the high fit is like a red carpet interview. So wow, I'm so happy that you're applying with us. The next steps are this, and we talk about the hours that you want to work, etc. So it's really a red carpet interview. And then the medium fit, we look into the competence, what's maybe not where we have some questions about. And the low fit, maybe another job will be suitable better for you. So it could be different, but probably the agents already have covered that. But sometimes there's still a low fit in the process. And it's not that you're not good, that you're not the best person for that job, and you may be happier at another job, because retention is very important for us. Yeah. So if you're not the best person, the job is not fitting with you the best, then maybe another job will be the one where you will be happier. So yeah, exactly. That's the recruitment task. And then at the end, there is also a recruitment interaction as well.
Yeah, and the assessment, we also get questions about that. Can be different ways. So we, in this case, we work with a game-based assessment that DHL uses, and we integrate with that. So we pick up the conversation in the beginning, send it to them, and then pick it up. But for different use cases, agents can also do the assessment. Barend and I come from the assessment space with Harvard. For many use cases, you don't need the deep assessments anymore. For this use case, the game-based assessment works really well. But if you look really at the personality piece, the questions, the interview questions, we have client workflows where we just say, you have screening questions, and if we see, hey, you fit the role, the AI immediately calls you, holds an interview, scores the interview, and pushes you to the scheduling stage. No human involved.
It's interesting that in a lot of cases, assessment is a stage in the process, because there was no other way until a few years ago. Right now, what you see is that the assessment is not a goal in itself, but you need insights that can derive from any stage in the process. So that can be part conversational, it can also be partly more traditional. So assessment is not a stage, assessment is part of the entire process where the applicant goes through.
Exactly. And also, I believe, this is my bold statement, if you look at recruitment at scale and volume recruitment, and the improvement rate of AI, I don't think humans will be involved to manage and control and oversee the process and step in when there is a human connection needed. But there is in my mind, no doubt that AI will fully take over and replace those processes, because it's just better, faster, and humans will do the things that they actually do like. Actually, that already happens in your team, Lonneke, I think. Yeah. I think interesting around, so how long did it take to set up DHL for you, Lonneke, this process with Carve?
We did it some steps. So first we located job families, so which jobs, which flows, etc. It was very fast. I don't know the time exactly, because it's a couple of years ago, and we develop it all the way and all the way every time. So it's difficult.
You can go quick in a few weeks, and if you have a very extensive process, it can go months. But it also depends on how you want to plan your rollout. It really depends. But you can get something going pretty quickly. Also depends on how your setup works. I like this question of Sam. Like, is this a decision-making tool or a support tool? Well, that is actually interesting. It depends on the country where you live in. Also a bit, because in some countries you cannot make decisions. I still always see it as you can have the complete freedom as a company to use it either way. In the beginning, we see companies using it as a support tool. Why? We actually say we filter out candidates, and we, like Lonneke described, we have green, orange, red, and do your thing with the green candidates. Like we have a different process for each stage. However, we see the longer you use it, the more you are going to use it in a way that you just trust the AI and you do that in the right way. We always do this within the boundaries of the EU AI Act and also of the GDPR, of course, to avoid bias. And I think we also have a lot of experience there. And also we have an office and clients in the US, which is much more strict, of course, when it comes to decision making. So we can support both processes, but we always look at local legislation and the goal of the specific company. Barend, is it trust or a hypnotic risk? A deep question.
It's deep. It's a philosophical question. I don't know. I try to comprehend the question, but Sam, maybe you can elaborate a little bit.
No, I think I understand. Like, is it more? Is it about the quality of the AI? Is the trust of the AI specifically? The ethical side of AI, I would say. Exactly.
I think from the perspective of the recruiters, whether they trust the decision or do we trust that the decision is the right one?
I think it's a combination of both, right? So we, if I can step in, yeah, exactly. I think it depends on your roles. If you ask me, if you look at, for example, a lot of hiring decisions are made to have a pre-screening process and then a structural interview with basically questions that you need to ask to a person, and that outcome of those questions determines if you're going to be hired or not. We already see the use cases now, Barend, where AI can do that better than a human, because basically a human is following a structured process to that. But it's also the question is, how hard do you need to reject someone? That's not even necessary, also not in this use case. So,
and I think
yeah, go ahead, Barend.
There is a very extensive process that results into the decision. So when it's decision support, it's not that the AI just, like there are a few cases from years back, I think the Amazon case is a famous one, where the AI made decisions that were full of bias. I think with the current state of technology and the processes we built, it's a structured process that leads to a decision. So that it's even when you look at the EU AI Act, where it needs to be explainable and you need to be able to reproduce it, we comply with those legislations. So then it's really, and of course, the decision in itself is correct, and it's up to the teams and the client to decide what do you do with the decision. Do you automatically execute it, or is there another human that will be in the loop to co-decide?
Yeah. Question from Andrew. Yeah, I think, Andrew, we need to deep dive together on the exact use case you're referring to. On the cockpit, we manage the cockpit. So it's not the client that needs to build those agents. We do all this because that's for enterprise organizations way too complex. We manage that with our customer success and delivery teams. So, Lonica, how many applicants and do you support with this process a year?
I don't know the numbers at the moment, but there's a lot, and I think we have different roles, and for all the roles we use this process. So yeah. For management roles and also for operational roles, yeah. And we have small hours contracts and fully work weeks. So it's totally different.
Yeah, agree. Okay, let's say. Yeah, I think on the testing piece, I think it's Patricia. It's a good question. We have a pretty significant process for the assessment agents, I will say, but we didn't touch it in this webinar. But feel free to reach out to us, and then we will do a specific conversation with you about this topic because we will not have the time in a few minutes left to touch on this point. Maybe on the legal and security side, because this is what we didn't touch yet, Barend, but it's always a question that we need to cover. Maybe we can close off with that question of Jan.
Yeah, this is always a topic where you go to internal compliance questions and scrutiny. Obviously, as an organization, we have the relevant ISO certifications. We are SOC 2 certified. There is a whole security plan about how data is stored, how data is encrypted, how we secure the connections between systems. So in that regards, it's a complete enterprise graded setup. So if there are any questions there, please reach out and we can provide all relevant documentation.
And Lonica, did you have complications with that on your side? I think that's the question of Jan.
No. I think it's we are completely, and it's important for DHL Express as well. Very important to be compliant and to be fully follow the legislation. So
we with Carve, we're also pretty far ahead on how we think maybe to how we approach this, because we also know what's coming. So we need to be fully compliant in the Europe and in the US.
And we have the contract with Garf was a lot of compliancy parts, and it was all fully covered. So
okay, I think we're good, guys. Lonneke, thank you so much for joining and sharing your story.
thank you.
We will love to do this again later, maybe in the year, to see what the next step is of our collaboration. Much more is coming, new agents, new processes. So I hope everyone enjoyed it. Feel free to reach out to us for more information. And if you want to spend time with us to deep dive on your process. Yeah?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.